We're back with another episode of the CHS Podcast.
Dirk Weeldreyer. I'm superintendent.
Thank you very much. And I'm Haley.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Elena.
I'm Eden.
And I'm Ella.
What does your day look like as superintendent?
Well, that's one of the interesting things about being superintendent is that it changes every day. And that's one of the things I kind of like most about it. So there are days when it's just filled with meetings. There are days when I'm out and around, and I try to stop in each of our schools once a week just to make sure I keep tabs on and everybody can see me too, and that I'm invested in what's going on out there. There are days when I'm out meeting with others too elsewhere. So our school district's part of the Kent Intermediate School District, so our county, and so sometimes we have meetings there. There are times even when I end up in Lansing because what happens in Lansing impacts us too, so sometimes I have to go down and represent the school district and our needs and stuff down there. So it's a whole bunch of different things. So, and that's if everything goes smoothly. There are also those days where things come up that you don't expect, and all of a sudden you're dealing with a situation like you guys remember last year when we had the gas main get hit over here. So that was interesting, and I was actually away at another meeting right then, and I hightailed it back here to get back as quick as I could. So, yeah, it was exciting.
All right, and then retirement in 2017. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
What made you?
Yeah. All right, so, I graduated high school a long time ago, 1982. And, I taught over in Jenison for many years. So for 16 years I taught over there, which is longer actually than a lot of people who end up going into administration do. But I was really enjoying just working with high school kids and doing a bunch of activities over there.
What'd you teach?
I taught social studies, so world history was 10th graders for us, and government were my two main classes I did, but I did a couple other ones too, a Michigan history class and a world religions class and stuff like that. Yeah, so after doing that for a while, I decided to get into doing administration. It really happened when I stopped coaching basketball over there, so I coached basketball over there for 15 years, yeah. So, and then I went and became a principal down in Martin, which is south of here, and then I was superintendent in Fenville, which is over on the lake shore, just south of Holland, and I was there for 9.5 years as superintendent, and then I said, okay, I'm going to try something different, and so in 2017 when I retired, I headed up a group which advocates in Lansing because my government stuff and all that. We represented about 200 school districts, which is over a third of the districts in Michigan, and trying to push for better funding for schools and make sure it's even for schools as much as possible. So that's what I did, and then things kind of changed from there. So I did that all the way up until this past summer. But along the way, I would still go to like superintendent meetings and stuff like that because I'm working with superintendents to represent them in Lansing. And it was in 2018 that there was a change in superintendent here in Caledonia. And I was at a superintendent meeting, and it was actually the superintendent from the Kent ISD. Because when a school district doesn't have a superintendent, the ISD superintendent is the superintendent. And so he was kind of doing both, and he looked kind of tired. And it was in the winter, and, there was snow days and everything else. So we started talking, and one thing led to another. And so I filled in here in Caledonia for about 6 months. And then I kept actually getting calls then after that. So I was out in Muskegon, and I did a couple at Godfrey Lee twice there. And so then I came back here when Dr. Martin left. And that was last year, and then it kind of, one thing led to another, and they said, you keep doing these interim jobs, so are you really wanting to be done, or are you, so I said, yeah, I do kind of miss being connected to one school district for a while, so that's where I decided to come back.
And you said you were a principal as well.
Mm-hmm.
How would you compare being a principal to being a superintendent?
That is a good question. So when I was a teacher, I always thought, what does that principal do all day? You know, I see them every once in a while, and they're down. And when you actually become principal, it is like, wow, you're dealing with so many different things. And, you know, you don't know all the things going on in students' lives individually. You know, as a teacher, you connect with the kids that you have, but there are so many kids in a school, and there are so many things that they're facing in their personal lives or other things that are going on. So, yeah, I think that was the biggest change to become a principal, is just seeing all that other stuff. And then as a superintendent, the big difference is that I don't get this kind of interaction with students, which I really like. When you're a superintendent, it's more like you're running a big business, right? I mean, Caledonia Schools, we have a $70 million budget, right? So we have a lot of stuff going on. We've got all these different school buildings. We've got more than 600 employees. It's a lot of stuff going on, and then it's all this other stuff, like we're doing all this construction right now, or other things too. So you get further and further away from students, so that's why I really thank you for inviting me, because it's a nice chance to actually be able to sit down and talk with students. So you have to be more intentional about doing it, where in high school, you know, as a high school principal, you got to still talk with students. Now, a lot of times it was the ones who'd been naughty, but, you know.
Hopefully none of us. What would you say your favorite thing about Caledonia Schools is?
Well, I just think there's so many great things. I grew up in, I graduated from Mattawan High School down by Kalamazoo. And so Caledonia actually plays Mattawan in sports sometimes. And Caledonia and Mattawan are pretty similar in the way that the whole community developed, because when I was out there and many, many years ago, it was kind of a farm, rural district. And it's obviously grown just like Caledonia did. And so I like that. To me, that's a great feeling of similarity with Caledonia. I think the people are really awesome here, and really enjoy working with everybody. And it's just got so much going on, which for me is exciting, because I like to be busy and don't like to sit around. So moving around and doing all these different things is exciting to me. So.
And while we're talking about Caledonia and Caledonia Community Schools, what changes do you see coming for the future? As we're seniors, so, I mean, we won't be able to experience it, but for younger Scots.
Yeah, younger Scots. Now, I have to stop right there, because I'm a history teacher. So here's another thing I like about Caledonia, because the name Caledonia is actually old name for Scotland, when the Romans ran Scotland. So, see, isn't that kind of cute that they did the whole Caledonia and made them the Scots? Somebody knew their history back then. All right, so, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff coming, obviously, and, well, I'll start with one thing that I've been working on a lot recently, and that's the football stadium. The bleachers are coming down. If you pull in the parking lot, you can still get close enough to see, like, they're basically mostly down at this point.
And I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, and then the buildings are going to be going down next. And, yeah, it'll be moving fast, because we're trying to get this set for next fall for fall sports season again. So, yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround. The last time they did this, they had a year where the football team had to travel. And it took them like a year and a half to do, but we're trying to do it in like 8-10 months.
So they'll be working through the snow and everything?
They're going to work through the snow, exactly. Yeah, and I'm really excited about the way that I think that's going to turn out. It's going to be a nice improvement over things. The stadium's been great, but it's kind of 1990s looking, and I think it's going to be a nice upgrade for it. Another thing we've been working on a lot recently is the Cal Community Center, and that's getting right to the end. I was hoping that by the time we'd sit down like this, it would be like more or less ready to welcome people. We're kind of having to slow that down just a little bit, because we've got some things that are still finishing up in there, and we want to make sure it's done right before we take over in there. So that'll be coming online, but you'll be seniors and you'll be able to use it. So that will actually happen.
Something new.
Yeah, exactly.
We can come back for the football
And
games.
you got this nice connector down here. You got to, so you don't have to walk outside
I
now.
know.
And,
So true.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
And with
so-
the snow today, like we don't have to walk outside.
Exactly.
It was so nice.
It's beautiful. It's like being in Miami.
Oh yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, so we've got those coming, and then next fall will be a new elementary school. Did any of you go to Dutton?
Oh yeah.
I didn't go to
I
Dutton.
went to
but
Dutton.
seen-
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's going to be a nice new addition, obviously coming up. And then just yesterday, I was downtown at a what's called a bid opening. So the way that things work when you're doing construction is so that we can get the best deal for our taxpayers is that we put out, we're going to build this, and then they have all the different trades get to bid on that portion of it. And then, like, for instance, one of the ones we put out yesterday, we had 12 different concrete contractors bid, right? So you're hoping that out of that, the 12, they're trying to undercut each other to get the job, and you get the best deal. So the two new things that were being bid for that is we're going to be renovating in Caledonia Elementary. We'll be getting part of it got kind of a facelift a couple of years ago, and we're going to be doing the rest of it. And then at the bus garage, they're going to actually be building a canopy for the buses because right now when they have to plug in those buses, and the snow's whipping around and there's no protection. And then in the morning when the bus drivers try to go, when weather's like this, they're having to clean and scrape and all that kind of stuff. So the front nose of the bus will be covered. So it's that kind of stuff. That's what's on the horizon right now.
And making all these decisions, is that one of the hardest parts of your job, you would say? Or what would be the hardest part?
Well, I think the hardest part of the job is really that there are things where you can't make everybody happy, right? You want to do the things that are going to make everybody feel good about things, that they're going to appreciate stuff. And there are just, there are issues that come up, or there's stuff that is maybe a little controversial or whatever, and whatever way you decide, you're not going to make a number of people happy. So that's probably the hardest part of it, because you're trying to do your best for everybody, right, and represent everybody. So,
And finally, I know everyone's going to want to hear this question. How many snow days do you think we will have this year?
Okay, so I got to tell you another story. So
Keep telling the story.
when I was your age in high school, my dad was the superintendent of the school I was in. So I have been getting beat up for my whole life about this question, and my classmates would say, you have to get up at like 4 a.m. and shovel snow into your driveway so your dad can't even back out to go check the roads and stuff like this. So
welcome shovel some snow.
yeah, well, I've become a little immune to it. So yeah, I don't know. We'll just see how many. That's the fun part of snow days. But I will tell you that Blake Harms may be wrong a few times.
Yeah.
He's not always right.
I know everyone loves him here.
I know.
We were all
I know.
looking at his post yesterday.
He's a Hudsonville guy. He grew up in Hudsonville. So, yeah.
Sometimes he gives us false hope, I think.
He
but
does. Yeah, and then gets me, a lot of nasty emails and stuff. So, no, we try to make the best call we can on that stuff. And, you guys have to be in school. We have an obligation to educate you. So, therefore, we can't always just...
Right. That's got to be one of the hardest parts, too, is deciding on snow days.
Yeah.
So do you actually go out and drive on the roads, or do you do it?
Yeah, sometimes, but our
Perhaps
transportation department, there are several people over there that they take different parts of the district and they look around. And then actually what I end up doing is a lot of our superintendents, we talk with each other because we, nobody likes to be the only one going a certain direction. So we kind of try to say, well, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And we don't always get a lot of sleep during that time period, because sometimes if we know it's going to be bad, we like to make the call the night before. But there are a
Those
lot
are
of
the
times you
best,
just
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, the worst ones
Shut
are the
the
ones
alarm
when it
off.
starts snowing at like 6
I
a.m.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then
because you're just like, I don't know.
the
And
emails are coming in.
Well, and
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was last year when it was supposed to be like a really nasty storm. We called off school the night before, and it ended up
nothing.
not snowing at all.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's the worst.
Yeah, I bet.
So, yeah, because then I have people, you get people upset on that
Right,
side because they have to arrange daycare,
Yep.
right, for
Oh,
their
yeah.
kids or
Yeah.
whatever because both parents work
Right.
and now they're not home to take care of their elementary school kid.
Yeah.
And now, so it's a hardship on families too. So we try to remember that too. It's not just days off, but there are people who will still have to go into work that have to worry about that
Figure it
things
out
too.
themselves.
So that's what more than riding the roads all the time. Although I will sometimes, it's more communication
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
on the back end and just seeing what everybody else is doing. Yeah. So it's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Oh, I
Yeah,
bet.
I'm sure. Well, thank you so much for coming out.
It is wonderful to be with you. And now I'm going off to a meeting at the pool.
Oh,
About the
perfect.
pool.
How exciting.
About the pool.
Is there,
We'll see.
final question, is
Yes.
there water in the pool yet, or do they still have to do that?
That's what we're meeting about
Oh,
is
really?
when the water.
Okay.
So and it's interesting. It will take a week to fill the pool
Wow,
with
that's
water
Crazy.
because they have to go slowly enough because it's so big. And imagine the weight of all that water, right?
yeah.
So they have to make sure that things are balanced and. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that goes into it. And then we are going to have a time period of where they make sure all the equipment is running right. And so that's what we're just a little behind on getting to the filling of the pool. But so that's what today's meeting is going to
That's
be about.
exciting.
Exciting stuff. Water.
I hope it's an exciting meeting. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, being done.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
That
you.
sums it up.
All right,
Thank you.
nice to be with you all.